Dr. Boom.
That's what Derek said the cooldowns do, right?
I think so, yeah.
Cool. I've got a lot to live up to this week, okay? He was away casting with Throwdown over the weekend.
There's a lot of Dans at the moment.
And now he's stuck with me. So I've got to try and be cool. How can I be cooler, Ender? Can you teach me?
Have you seen me?
I think
I
you're
don't
pretty
need
cool.
to teach cool, I just am cool. Or uncle.
That is fair enough. Speaking of cool, though, Brazil currently 5-1 in the... No, not 5-1, 5-0 even in the Hearthstone Global Games.
Future predictions!
Future prediction? No. They are in this to be the kings of the HGG Swiss. Can they walk away at 6-0? Let's find out. Let's take a look at who will be representing these two great nations. Brazil, Raze, Perna, Lucas, and Neves have done nothing but win throughout the Hearthstone Global Games.
And throughout the year, across everything as well, these players have been doing incredibly well. Lucas recently getting to Copa. Race and Perna need no introduction. I'm going to introduce them. Race has already won Tours Up this year, and Perna has been mighty close, I believe. Brazil also wanted to go 6-0 just to put their country even further on the map. The rise of Latin America has been strong this year.
Versus Team The Rabbin, because we established last week it's a very cool name. He's not just Rabbin, he's The Rabbin.
So it's a bit like Ohio State University, right?
Okay.
Which is the Ohio State University.
Sure. Imagine if you were The Lorinda.
I am the Lorinda.
That doesn't really sound...
Imagine if you were the Dan, which you most certainly are not.
I'm one of 3 Dans that cast Hearthstone regularly right now.
I suppose you could be cool by pretending you're like some sort of martial art. You're like third Dan.
I'm actually a first Dan in Taekwondo.
Really?
Genuinely.
I've been mean to him for 2 years solidly. Now he tells me.
Let's take a look at some picks and bans here for Brazil versus Switzerland. First ban's going to be Druid and Shaman.
Interesting. All we've done is see Shadowwalk lose for the last 100 years. So banning out the Shaman, an interesting move. And then instantly taking Warrior. You mean people. That's pretty exciting.
Yep. Hopefully those warriors don't fall in line with one another.
Oh, a Warrior Mirror. Everybody love that.
Nice hour-long game to contest the Warrior versus Mage, one that you had yesterday.
1 hour and 3 minutes of Warrior versus Mage.
Is that a record? I feel like we've had some pretty long Warrior Mirrors in HGG already.
I think in terms of time it was the record, yeah. Some of the games have felt long because it's just been tank up, go. Tank up, pass. Tank up, pass.
Make sure you rope out each turn as well. That is important.
Navi, tank up. Yeah, exactly.
So you've seen the classes, but now it's the important bit. Let's find out which classes are going to be up against which, as we start out with Raze on the Even Warlock versus Switzerland on Odd Warrior. Now, we saw this matchup earlier today, and it was... The Warrior, it took a long time, but it did seem to be significantly Warrior favored.
Yeah, it was the Dr. Boom that really swung it in the end. Just hang on early by any means necessary. Just have a quick look to see if Brazil do have that Geist, which they probably do.
I'd be very surprised if they didn't. Skulking Geist is just a regular appearance in every Even Warlock nowadays. In the game that we saw earlier, I think it was the penultimate card in the deck. It was drawn right at the end of the game. Maybe if Geist can be slammed on turn 6, and maybe if Shield Slam isn't picked up by Switzerland, then maybe Geist can have more of an impact.
Yeah, it wouldn't have done much there, but it can make a 4-card difference in fatigue.
That's true, yeah.
Go against it. It's not likely to. It's likely to make 2 or 3. But certainly, if they can pick that up for Brazil, not just the fatigue difference, but the fact it gets rid of the Omega Assembly, the fact it gets rid of the Shield Slam, maybe your Giant hangs around longer later on. Things can change around.
Yeah, but that's sort of one of the reasons Odd Warrior is so... okay against the early game that is the Mountain Giants from the Even Warlock. It's because they can go tank up, Shield Slam, and deal with one without even worrying about it, having gained 8 armor in the process. But here we go, Raze, the all-star Brazilian player versus Knights, and he does start out with both a Mountain Giant and a Skulking Geist.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's given him a headache already in a good way. It's like, how much of this do I keep? I think you keep them both.
I agree.
And what do you do with a Shroom Brewer? Do you care?
No. You're not brewing. You're not brewing any shrooms.
Broom shroom.
Brewing. Next Hearthstone expansion, some shroom broomers.
Shrews that
clean up after Dr. Boom's mess of potions.
Yeah. Don't know about.
I Every time you come up with a card design idea, Lorinda, I say, yeah, you should go and join the design team. Come on. A little bit of support the other way would be great.
Can you go and join the design team as well?
Thank you.
That's great. Please don't.
None will survive.
Right. Knight's not picking up any of one of those 1-drops. Not picking up much at all. Reckless Flurry will be handy-ish. But it may be, you don't really want to use that to kill off a giant if you can help it, but may have to. And maybe won't even be able to with these 2 drops from Brazil having a chance of taking over the board.
That's true. Dropping the Homunculus does not slow down the Mountain Giant because Brazil isn't on the coin, so it's going to be Mountain Giant's turn 4 regardless. However, I'm going to go ahead and tap this turn anyway. I guess they could play 2-drop and tap next turn.
Giggling Inventor. That's a new card. Not seen quite so many of those this week, in fairness. They're obviously still a huge part of the meta, but they do seem to be turning into one-offs more and more. Obviously not in a deck like this, though, where they're trying to just never, ever die. Yeah,
it's all about surviving and outliving the opponent. There is just one copy in this deck, though.
Down to another one. It's just getting hated out of the meta too much, and if everybody plays 1, it means that Mossy Horror is kind of not really good enough. Blood Knight's not really good enough. If everyone's playing 2, they're auto-include. So it will be interesting to see if the meta settles on 1 giggling in a lot of decks.
Interesting.
Which would make my idea of nerfing it to legendary just be completely obsolete.
Nerfing it to legendary. Wow. Anyway, Ray's almost certainly going to just go ahead and drop a 4-drop here, as I just quickly steered away from the Mountain Giant I was about to claim was hitting the board. Twilight Drake, obviously a great target for Shield Slam, and does allow Race to go ahead and play the Mountain Giant next turn with 1 less Shield Slam in Switzerland's hand.
Yeah, also keeping control of that armor just by having multiple minions on board is a big deal. Obviously, you can stop a Shield Slam not just by taking it away with a Geist, but just by giving your opponent no armor. That's giving Knights a bit of an issue. They saw 2 cards kept, and neither of them have been played. What does that mean? It means they've got a Geist and a Mountain Giant, as far as I'm concerned.
That is pretty much
potentially a Gul'dan, I guess.
Or 2 Mountain Giants, but they're pretty much there. There can't be many permutations of that hand.
And obviously, we keep talking about this, but Switzerland have been big on their communication. With 4 of them in there, 1 of them will just be hand tracking, almost certainly.
They should be going ahead and playing these 1-mana spells now. They know that they don't want to hold on to Mega Assembly, because Skulking Geist will be deleting it from the hand later on.
The problem is, if they play the Shield Slam, then Brazil have no need to even worry about playing the Geist. They can just slam the Giant without any thought. But this Shield Slam is going to get rid of an important minion. Yeah.
It's such a good threat, and honestly, worst comes to the worst, Super Colliders and things can deal with Mountain Giants at some point. Brawl, Reckless Flurry, also looking good.
The whole hand for Race, though. He's now got the Lich King and Gul'dan, as you can see there on the right-hand side. There is a lot going on here. He doesn't have to hurry at all over the next turn. He can go into Geist and then maybe play Mountain Giant after if he wants to.
A nice early Gul'dan is pretty good in this matchup, especially if they can also get a board from it. So playing that Dread Infernal, playing the second Homunculus are going to be priorities for Rays.
Yep. Not often you have this many decisions this early with even lock. It's usually fairly straightforward, but because of the matchup, because of what they're trying to achieve with the Geist, it's making this very complicated. And I know there's more money for going 6-0 than 5-1 as well, so that's the reason Brazil want to win, as well as putting themselves on the map. But do you think it's hard to play 100% your absolute best when you know you're already through to the next round? I know you want to.
I think the hard part is probably finding the energy to prepare adequately.
Okay, that's fair.
For the week of Hearthstone. I think when they're playing, they're professional Hearthstone players. They're used to playing the best Hearthstone they can. They're not just going to play worse for the heck of it.
Oh, goodness, no. Yeah, definitely not. It's just, can they dig deep? But like you say, that probably shows up in preparation more than actual playing. I agree.
I think so.
And their preparation seems fine. They've got 1 or 2 weird decks in their lineup, I think Brazil did have, but...
No Topsy-Turvy Priest, though. So, there's that.
No Topsy-Turvy Priest. They had something which I looked at earlier in the day. You just cast the entire thing and I'll come back and tell you what it was.
Okay, sure.
No, I can't find it now. So maybe they didn't bring anything particularly ridiculous.
Switzerland have some strange decks though. They have mid-range Hunter. They have even Paladin.
Even Paladin?
Yep.
How does that even work?
Well,
All the good Paladins cost odd. Oh no, you get Consecration.
wow, Lorinda, I believe you actually cast Switzerland playing even Paladin a few weeks ago, as it's their specialty deck.
So it's no surprise they brought it again, I guess. I've run into quite a bit of weird Paladin on ladder recently.
Mhm.
I think people are getting not just bored of Odd Warrior, but the fact that Odd Paladin, but it is also getting difficult to get wins with it because it's just falling in with the other aggro decks as being hated out the meta slowly but surely.
Yeah. I mean, for a long while now, I've made it quite public. I don't think Odd Paladin's that good anymore. Contrary
It'll be
to-
good again.
Contrary to the other Dan's belief. Gaskin, not Frodan. I don't know what Frodan thinks on the topic.
So many Dans, so little time. Switzerland
Got to cast with them all.
have very difficult decisions here just because their hand is not going anywhere quickly. Playing Town Crier, of course, thinning out that deck even more, and if they're going to win this in fatigue, that's not what they want to be doing.
In theory, the Warrior should be the favourite in fatigue regardless of how many cards they draw. Bearing in mind, one Shield Slam has already been drawn, one Omega Assembly has already been drawn, and the Warlock does have a tendency to tap. However, it doesn't look like they have to this game.
Yeah, their hand is so good, and if they get that early Gul'dan down, then they can keep the hero powers under control. And theirs is better than the Warriors when it gets to fatigue, because it's a 6-point swing each turn, basically, versus a 4-point swing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a long way off yet. For now, Race is just trying to kill them before they can do anything about fatigue or anything. And he does have a hand that is set up to at least try and do that. Dread Infernal looks pretty juicy right now. Defile is pretty juicy. When they're going to get a better Defile than that, that's a fair point.
Against Odd Warrior, yeah, they're probably not going to get a better defile than that. And now, thanks to the Shroom Brewer, Brazil's board still looking strong. It's funny, Skulking Geist, whenever it's played, its body does tend to do some serious work, but it's only a 4/6.
I think 4/6 is just a good shape. Think of how Master Shaw. I know it comes down a lot earlier. But
Well, yeah, that's
6
the thing.
health right now is a very hard number to deal with. And Odd Warrior not having Execute and no longer having Shield Slam doesn't really have any spot removal for it.
It's hardly premium stats for a 6-drop. We're looking at Boulder Fist Ogre and Grumble, which is a 7/7, also costing 6 mana.
Yeah, when you look at it like that, it is a bit weird. 7/7 would die to Big Game Hunter.
You win. You win. That's the end of the argument. Skulking Geist, best possible
They
stats.
should buff it to 6/7.
What, Grumble? Okay.
Yeah. That's the old Dr. Boom argument many, many years ago. I'm sure chat have forgotten that by now.
A Super Collider not quite going to do the work that it needs to. It's going to deal
wait.
with one of these minions.
Dan's talking about Super Collider not being the best card for the situation.
Okay, have I really made a big deal out of Super Collider being a great card? Have I? Twitch chat, would I do that?
Mm-hmm. It is an incredibly good card.
Yeah, come on, cut me some slack here. If a card's good, I'm going to say it's good.
I'm just going to say all the cards are good, and then everybody will think I'm wrong most of the time, but sometimes I'll look really clever.
Yeah, you know that 5/1, 3 mana 5/1. What's it called? Magma Rager. Good card.
Yeah. And then one day it will come in for 5 damage and kill somebody. Everyone will say that Lorinda, I knew he was a good one. Meanwhile, Race has been given some trouble by this Super Collider because he doesn't want to put anything next to the 4/1. Whatever he puts next to it will just kill it straight away. You don't want to Super Collider into the 4/1 though. That's funny when you do that by mistake. You just kill it and then it's got nothing to attack it friends with.
Then it's just a 1 attack. Then it's just a Light's Justice, isn't it?
Yeah.
What Brazil could do is play the Shroom Brewer and stick the Sunfury Protector in between the 2 cards, meaning that the Protector dies from the Super Collider and nothing else does.
Because they've got Gul'dan in their hand, they don't need to panic too much about their healing, so they might go for that. There's not a huge amount of healing in the deck, but with Gul'dan there is a huge amount of healing. If they're going to be 10 or 12 more turns of the game. That's 36 health of healing. That's plenty.
This is a very similar result to this turn. Hang on a second. I'm very, very confused by that card drawn.
I trusted you, Dan.
Yes, Switzerland are playing one copy of the Carnivorous Cube.
Okay.
And I cannot, for the life of me, work out why.
It's because when it dies, you get 2 of something back.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you want me to elaborate on this point? Let me have a look through this deck list. I haven't had a chance to have a quick look more than...
We're talking best case, Baku or Elise.
Dohorn Hatchling, maybe? In the mirror?
Okay, yeah, I guess in a mirror that's good.
But yeah, Elise is a thing. It is value. It is a value deck. Maybe they thought there wasn't enough value in there.
Derek, Gaskin, anyone? Help?
Don't ask them. They might know, and then we'll look bad.
True.
But yeah, it's a value-based deck, and the cube will provide some value. It is a good card. And I bet they know what it does better than their opponents. It could be important, actually. We've talked about how this is a value-based matchup earlier today. That's why getting value even out of that defile is important, because come the end of the game, the sum of all these tiny little pieces of value comes together to find the winner. Obviously, the warrior has the natural advantage by the fact that it is gaining 4 health a turn, and Brazil's hero power costs 2.
Yep. However, Brazil have been able to set up this Hooked Reaver before playing Gul'dan and basically restoring his health back up to 30. Important to get the timing on that correctly, and as we can see, Switzerland don't have an easy clear. They do have Spark Drill, which, along with the sparks that it excavates, I guess, can deal with the 7/7.
What they don't have, that we saw in the match earlier today, is the Death Knight.
True.
Is Dr. Seven himself.
Dr. Boom's not a Death Knight. This is lore gone mad.
I mean, Hearthstone is no longer Heroes of Warcraft. It's just Hearthstone, the game.
Hearthstone, Death Knights of Warcraft.
He's a hero card, okay.
There we go. Thank you. I almost had an aneurysm, but you saved it. The vein has gone back into my head.
I'm sorry. I'll try never to do that again. And Knight here wants to develop board, but obviously this 7/7 is an absolute nuisance.
This jungle hides many secrets.
And they've decided they can take the 7 and play the long game here, going for multiple packs, multiple Elises, loads of value. And they do need more value because they haven't got the hero card so early.
Thank you. You could just say Dr. Boom. Mad Genius.
People get bored of that, though.
I wonder if you add the Mad Genius part. I feel like no one ever says that. It's like no one would ever call Yogg-Saron Hope's End.
I did a few times.
People would say, you wait, eventually this druid will draw the Hope's End, and...
Because that's how I felt sometimes when I played against Yogg-Saron. It's like, I'm just out of all hope now.
Do you not feel like a Mad Genius when you play Dr. Boom?
I don't feel like I'm anything genius ever.
But all of the master plans you come up with.
Yeah, I mean, they're good.
Actually, the more I think about it, the more parallels I'm drawing between you and Dr. Boom. Oh, I like that fuse thing. That's what you say when you look at your laptop.
My laptop is perfectly functional, I'll have you know. I managed to open a browser with it yesterday.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
But I couldn't get to my MySpace page.
Ooh. Website was probably shut down about 13 years ago.
Race proceeding to do as much damage as possible whilst making this board terrifying, not walking into mind control tech, all the little bits and pieces being well looked after here.
And Carnivorous Cube continues to be in Switzerland's hand. And yeah, that's about
I mean, it is just a raw value card. So we've talked about how good a 4/6 for 6 is working out. This is a 4/6 for 5.
That's true. It's just strictly better than Skulking Geist. Why isn't Ray's playing Cube in his even Warlock? I ask you, Lorinda.
Still trying to work out how you get like more packs out of Elise. Just trying to make that happen.
I don't think you can with the Cube.
There aren't any death rattle cards in this deck, are there?
Yes, there is. There's Carnivorous Cube and the Direhorn, actually.
So I think what happened is someone said, let's play a Geist in the deck. And then someone says, you can't do that, you dummy. It's an even casting cost card.
Play another 4/6 instead.
Play something else. So they put a cube in.
This jungle
You can Zola the cube. And then you can cube the cube.
Great! That's great. Meanwhile, Brazil draw Spirit Bomb, which we don't see in Even Warlock very often at all, but it makes more sense to me than the cube does, so I'm happy to talk about it. Deal 4 damage to own face. It does allow Brazil to deal with this Elise really easily this turn, and also drop Lich King on the board.
I am surprised we don't see Spirit Bomb more often. I know
too.
it's not completely absent from the deck, but
This is nice too.
I am surprised it's not a card we're seeing more of. Down to the old 15.
Already played one Hooked Reaver though.
Yeah, and it's not the sort of game they're playing right now. They're playing the we're going to kill you very soon game. And it's looking like a good plan right now.
Because as you can see, the fatigue is just piling up in Switzerland's favour. In the long run, it should be the Warrior winning this matchup.
Yeah, they're going to need to be a long way ahead, though. I mean, they do still have a tank up, which obviously helps that. But not having Dr. Boom means they're running out of value. And they've got a cube. Cube works with Spark Drill.
Yes. Bit expensive though. Ideally, you want your cube target to be 5 mana or less.
And a Reckless Flurry. So you Spark Drill, then you cube it, then you Reckless Flurry, and you've got some things.
Over 2 turns. Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Sure.
no.
Ziliax maybe is a realistic target for
Yeah.
cube.
I think it is just value. I'm joking aside, we're messing around a bit here because basically we don't understand it. So people always poke fun of things they don't understand.
And I suppose in the heaviest matchups, and the slowest, grindiest matchups, you just discover the biggest mech that you can with the Doc's Beam Hero Power, Bulldozer or Mechathune or something, and then cube that.
I think it is just, I agree entirely with that. We are just so used to cubes
doing more.
Yeah, using combos with death rattles and stuff that we are forgetting that actually it's just a good value card. If you can get rid of a minion that's kind of on its last legs and about to be killed,
yeah,
you can make a value trade with a minion, then cube it, and it'll quite often just be good. It's still a bit weird to me, but I think we do pigeonhole cards, and cube is one of those cards that does have so much more to it.
Switzerland are going to have to consider playing Brawl here because that Mountain Giant isn't going anywhere. They could play the Spark and then Brawl and hope that they don't lose the 1 in 4.
They are struggling mightily here.
I mean, I can't see a turn that doesn't involve the Brawl this turn. So there it is.
Well,
that's the result.
Grace is not impressed.
Not looking happy about that at all. But he's sort of okay because he's seen there's no real removal and he can just go ahead and drop the Lich King.
Get out of my game, he's thinking. Why are you still in my game?
A Brawl was just used. Now deal with the next board. Which, as we can see, Knights can with Reckless Flurry.
He can, but then he's got to deal with being hit in the face for 3 every single turn for the rest of the game.
The answer to that is heal for 4.
Till you get to fatigue.
Yes.
And then it all gets a bit tricky.
Yeah, true.
But Brazil are nearly out of resources. They do only have the Lich King left of anything meaningful. But Switzerland don't have that much meaningful themselves going on.
They need a way to clear that Lich King. Again, assuming this turn is tank up, Reckless Flurry, and then put Direhorn Hatchling on the board, then that Lich King, it's gonna have a good chance to go off. Though,
It's like Mechathon Lich King.
Not quite what I meant. But then Direhorn Hatchling sticks around on the board, and Cube hits the Hatchling, and suddenly Switzerland's fatigue game goes crazy.
Wow. Wow. That is actually a really good card to cube, to be fair.
Yeah. In certain matchups.
Yeah, in matchups where you have 10 mana. It's a good start. But yeah, you're right. Matchup's going to go very, very deep into fatigue.
Yep.
Like I said earlier, it's probably really good in the mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a better faceless, isn't it? You get two
who
extra copies.
tested that? Yeah, sorry, you say it's better faceless, and I agree entirely.
You get 2 extra copies instead of 1.
But who paid the 3 million hours required to test 2 games of that? Does Lich King stick? I mean, we can see it does, but that's the question Race is asking himself. If it sticks for 1 turn, then really does make a big difference. 2 Lich King cards is a massive game swinger. And it's the reason that when the Lich King first came out, the Black Knight was one of the most common cards on ladder for the longest time.
Yep.
And that's why everyone thought, oh, Lich King, he's not that good after all. Bit like what's happening to Giggling Venter right now.
Yep. Only, I don't think anyone argues that Giggling Venter's not that good after all.
Except the difference with the Lich King is it happened preemptively because everyone was so scared.
Yeah.
So when Lich King was being played in the early days, it just instantly got blown up every single game. And it took a few months before people really started to realise how good it was.
The real question this turn is, what are Brazil's alternative plays? There aren't really any. They could have just dropped Doomsayer. That's,
Not into Cube.
That's
thanks.
very weak to Cube. So, yeah, just going to go with the most powerful play onto the board. Get Doom Pact, that is not a reward at all.
No.
But Knights can't deal with it.
Yeah, puffs out the cheeks. Bit of a sigh, because very difficult for him. Not just this turn to deal with it, but over the next couple of turns.
They can't just cube this Direhorn, because then they're taking
Oh, no.
13 damage to the face next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right later on, but it's not nice. It's not nice now. Baku does deal with it a bit.
Not a sentence you ever want to hear a caster saying in a Hearthstone game.
What, Baku deals with it a bit.
yeah. The player's in the position where they might be okay if they play Baku this turn.
Interesting that if Race had pinged the 3/6 last turn, rather than playing the Sun Fury, he'd be able to finish it off next turn.
Sure.
And that's a big deal, because that means that the Baku could then be traded into by the Lich King if they wanted, or they probably want the card.
Right.
But as it is, they're not going to get anywhere near the Baku, depending on which Lich King card they'd picked up. That might have been relevant. And also now they just can't connect this Lich King to face. If they pinged it last turn, they would have been able to. Never mind. Now they can connect it to face.
13 damage going to the dome this turn. And Knights is smiling right now, but when he sees that Spellbreaker, I don't think he'll be smiling anymore.
No. I don't know if he's smiling out of happiness anyway. He's smiling out of being a nice guy, I think.
And Carnivorous Cube continues to sit in the hand, wibbling about.
Wibbling?
That's what it's doing now, isn't it? It's
I
wibbling.
think so. I'll ask Rowan when I see him. If it's the definition of wibble or not. Knights also used to these big games, made top 8 in Italy earlier in the year,
He did.
and role-playing somebody who is playing at night right now.
Yeah, he is. He's doing a good job with it too. Good job, Knights.
So many bloody
Mossy Horror or Ping, obviously you blow up one of your own guys, but you do get rid of the 1/3. You just shoot it. Bit less damage to the face. So you put a bit of armour, but it's not too bad. And a second Lich King card. just checking that attack got in there then.
Ooh.
Frostthorn is a
Alright.
huge amount of value.
I did say that the Warriors favoured, but Knights gives us one more smile. I don't think his Knight cosplay is going to last much longer. This game is looking over.
Yep. When it gets to this point in the night, it's usually lights out. And it's going to be 1-0 to Brazil, most likely.
Yeah, not something that we necessarily expected to see. As I said earlier, the Odd Warrior does tend to be favoured, but ultimately what's happened here is Brazil have stuck a Lich King for several turns, and Switzerland have not been able to deal with it.
Yeah, that was just the cumulative effect of having a very good start, taking a lot of the removal from Knights, having obviously the Geist early on, which they kept in their opener, and like you say, the Lich King sticks because of the result of all of that.
Do you know why else the Lich King stuck? Because Switzerland don't run Big Game Hunter in the deck. Do you know what they do run instead? They run a Carnivorous Cube, which has been sitting there doing nothing the entire game.
Wibbling about, apparently. Dan has lost it, I think. But the cube's going to make an appearance. Race sort of looks slightly quizzical at the cube. And this is going to be lethal damage with Frostmourne.
That's the same quizzical look I'm sure he gave it when he first saw it in the deck list. Or maybe he missed it like we did, and thinking, wow, good job we played around that.
1-0 to Brazil, and they needed that if they're going to go 6-0 because the matchups are not panning out particularly great for them, I don't think, across the board here.
No, it did look like it would be Switzerland favoured. However, this first win is quite big for Brazil as we move forward. You right there?
I was moving forward.
Having a wobble. Or wibble. Wibbly wobble. As we look at game number 2, it's going to be Odd Warrior for Nevers on the other side of things versus Gusanage with the mid-range Hunter. Lorinda, you wanted to tell me about the origin of this deck.
Yeah, I haven't actually checked the exact build. Obviously, I jumped off one cast into another. But I believe this is very close to Bruggy's build. It's very similar to what Boar Control has been playing and publicising, but no Subject 9.
I feel like every deck that I've cast with you, Lorinda, has been Braggy's invention.
I mean, he is just the hunter god. Since Orange started playing real classes, they've left it over to Braggy to be the hunter god.
This is mid-range hunter, or if you're like me, you look at this list and you think to yourself, oh, it's Subject 9 hunter without the Subject 9.
I mean, that's basically what it is, yeah. And you might want to explain a bit more about how that goes down. Do you know how many secrets in that deck?
How many? Oh, okay.
I'm not counting anymore.
Let me count them for you, Lorinda.
Experience.
1 Explosive Trap, 2 copies of Snake Trap, 2 copies of Venom Strike Trap, and 1 Wandering Monster. What's that spell?
Trouble.
There are trouble amount of secrets in this deck. They're also running 2 copies of Scavenging Hyena, which doesn't make the cut in Boar Control's Subject 9 list. And hey, we're talking 2 copies of Snake Trap,
right.
2 copies of Venom Strike Trap. Yeah, these really make Scavenging Hyena look good.
Yeah, the whole thing works around the generation of beasts from the secrets. You also have the Houndmasters, which need the targets, because you're only playing the Razormaw, which also, by the way, interacts well with the secrets that come from them. So use the secrets, which gives you tempo minions, usually, to generate beasts, and then you have ways of capitalising on that with the Razormaw, with the Houndmaster, with the thing you just said, the Hyena. And the whole thing fits together nicely, and it damages you pretty quickly. It is, however, really difficult to play this deck, even though it looks like a straightforward Smork curve deck.
There are 6 secrets in this deck.
6.
I counted quite a few times while you were talking so that I didn't make any silly mistakes.
So it's significantly less. It's only 1 fewer total secrets than Boar's deck, but it's 2 less secret archetypes, secret exact cards.
Well, maybe that's just the straight up swap. It's minus.
Because Boar was only playing 1 Venom Strike as well.
Right. Okay. So it's minus the secret and Subject 9. And plus 2 Scavenging Hyenas, and I guess mix the secrets around a bit.
Yeah, just get rid of the garbage. Like, I imagine there's no Rat Trap.
There is no Rat Trap.
Trying to count at the same
That's
time.
right. 1 Explosive, 2 Snake, 2 Venom Strike, and 1 Wandering Monster.
And I like not having Rat Trap if you can avoid it in revealed deck tournaments. Although, there is a case for saying you have it in your deck, you hope you don't draw it, and your opponent plays around it all game anyway.
Yeah. Rat Trap is a funny one, actually. Rat Trap and also the Paladin equivalent, which I forget the name of the card, but it says if your opponent plays 3 cards in 1 turn, you draw some cards. And what's funny about those is that you tend to have worked out at some point when it is that secret, you kind of have to spend the rest of the game not playing more than 2 cards. Or you find the correct turn to play into it where you can remove it immediately. But it is actually a bit of a pain.
I usually find out what it is when I trigger it. It's like, oh look, I played 3 cards, what's that secret? Oh, it's Rat Trap, now I know. And I don't have to play around it anymore.
World Champion Lorinda coming later this year. You just need to make it playoffs first.
Yeah, it won't take long now.
You'll get there. But back to the matter at hand, I guess. We have Odd Warrior versus Mid-Range Hunter. Now, with Death Rattle Hunter, we say that it's Hunter favored. With Spell Hunter, I'd still say it's Hunter favored. But this Mid-Range Hunter, it still has Rexar.
There you go then, it's Hunter favored.
But apart from Rexar, doesn't really seem to have anything going for it against the Odd Warrior.
A little bit of tempo on its side. Very hard for the Warrior to clear things up without them getting buffed or adjusted in some way.
Okay.
The Hyenas can get out of hand, so the spot removal very important for the Warrior.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you. The early damage will probably come to a halt, and then it is going to be about Rexar. So how much damage can they get in before the Warrior gets a grip? And this looks like a way to get a lot of early damage into me.
Great hand. Secret Keeper plus Secret seems good to me. Throw away the Houndmaster. Or maybe they don't throw away the Houndmaster.
I'm not sure with Snake Trap if you even do throw it away. Only Whirlwind effect.
Yeah, that was going to be my
Brazil
next question.
deck. And no obvious Whirlwind effect in this deck, so maybe it's okay, the Snake Trap. But Switzerland just want to kill you.
Ooh, okay.
So they decided to just throw it all away and get some real cards.
Even throwing away the Secret Keeper, I'm kind of surprised by that. But hey, when you end up with a 1-2-3 curve of disgusting beasts, I'm just kidding. They're not that disgusting.
Bear Shark's pretty disgusting.
Okay,
it is a
right.
bear with a shark's head.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have dinner with that.
Imagine if, like, you had those in tornadoes, what could happen? That'd be messy.
Specifically with the bear body.
Yeah, I mean, that'd just be mad. Bear Sharknado.
Bear Sharknado coming to theatres near you.
Wow. That would be terrifying.
None will survive.
The movie, not the
It just
situation.
wouldn't even surprise me if they made that film.
Okay, so perfect curve here for Switzerland right now. And nothing too much going on for Warrior, but there never is at this point. That's why they've got a hero power that keeps things under control. Darius, a little bit slow, but he'll be fine too. And just going to start assembling the pieces they need to defend against this early onslaught from the Hunter.
Yeah, this isn't a value matchup at all. Never's going to go ahead and get those mechs as soon as possible and try and get something on the board. Maybe extra dynamatics in order to deal with what Switzerland have. We will let you know what these mechs are once we see them, although chances are one will be selected in the immediate future. And they're really taking their time on this. It's going to be unpowered Steam Bomb.
So what were the other two? We'll never know, but they must have been absolute junk.
Goblin Bomb and Bulldozer.
Sure, they were. Let's go with that. Right, Razormore, what are you looking for here? Well, some sort of defense or some sort of attack. That's the two things you get, so that's good news.
I wonder.
That's canon now because no one can prove me wrong on what those mechs were.
Uh-huh. That's how a cannon works. Sounds like it's what goes in cannons to me. Switzerland going to play the Razormore as soon as they've just all double-checked with each other.
They got the smoke. They went with the smoke.
Yeah, and they're going to start delivering large amounts of smoke very, very quickly here. And Steamboat does heal for 9.
Yes, that is a lot of healing, to be sure. Not playable for a couple turns yet. In fact, Nevs has nothing playable unless he wants to use that coin. He doesn't. He's going to just tank up for now.
I mean, the tank up counters the Diamol
It
on
does.
its own.
It's going to take a long time for Switzerland to finish off Brazil this way. And Brazil do have that vital card on the left that I'm not going to talk about because I'm going to get teased again. But it's pretty good.
It does get a lot worse, however, if you're taking a beating.
True.
You still have to take the damage to your own face. And obviously, Gusnage does have the card that everybody really wants in his matchup, is the Rexar. And I was saying, if they can get enough damage in early just to make sure that Rexar can get the job done, they can start going for stealth minions and charge minions. Not necessarily the usual things you take. We're used to hanging on with Rexar, taking life steal and rush. But if you can just stealth an 8/8 or hit people in the face with a charging Rhino's friend, and things can get very messy very quickly.
Do charging rhinos have friends?
Oh yeah, they charge for them.
Oh, fair enough. How much do they charge?
About 5 mana.
Oh, it's reasonable.
What now?
So, more not particularly great options here for Neves.
Gonna go with the Fen Creeper.
Yeah.
As Switzerland's board starts to get out of control.
So at which point do they start playing around Brawl? Somewhere right about now, I should think.
So we saw in the previous series, Zoo beat an Odd Quest Warrior because it didn't play around Reckless Flurry, it didn't really play around Brawl. It went as aggressive as possible and said, if you don't have these cards, then we do just win.
I think I like Hyena hero power here. That means if your opponent tries to slow you down with taunts that aren't unpowered steam bots, by the way, you can trade your minions in and just get the damage back from the Hyena.
I do like the way you think.
That's bizarre.
Occasionally.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Very rarely.
On
like
this particular occasion.
3% of the... 1.5% of the time.
You don't waste much mana because you still get the 2 damage to the face, and only Brawl hurts you, and you can recover from that with Animal Companion. I don't think you get a better Hyena than this for some time.
Got to work out the positioning though, as Quinn, the good old Collider. It's possible next turn. But they go with your play, and you know, the more I think about it, Lorinda, I like this a lot. Like you said, any taunt gets shut down by this Hyena that gets buffed out of its mind.
And this positioning is interesting as well, because the Hyena would die, but it might not kill off the
Bear Shark if it goes that way.
If they want to go into the Bear Shark, sure.
And the thing is, isn't that just lethal if he coins out Super Collider? He takes 2 from the Hyena, 4, 6,
yeah,
9,
loads.
10, 11, 12, 13. It's one off, yeah.
Animal Companions, 2 forms of lethal that way as well.
Yep. Well, I mean, hero power alone is lethal. If Nev's Super Colliders, he's just dead, unless it kills the 3-2 and the 2-2.
Even Brawl here, if the Hyena wins, obviously they just win, but even if just the 3-2 wins, you're not tanking up. You take an instant 3 from the Razor Maw, you take an instant 2 from the hero power, and you still have more things besides.
And guess what? There's no Brawl in the hand.
There's not.
So it's going to have to be Ziliax, by the looks of things. Ziliax or the Steambot or Darius were the only genuine options. Ziliax has to trade with the Hyena, which has unwittingly done so much work.
Kill command.
It's almost lethal. Kill commanding the Ziliax and going face with everything else.
Like you say, if the kill command the Ziliax to save the health gain, that's
makes it 13 damage. So it'd be 4 off if he kill commands the Ziliax. It's tricky though, because again, Animal Companion, Leok is okay, Huffer's okay. They're not looking amazing here, are they?
They're not, but Rexar, with so much damage already done, is going to be in a great position to get the job done, if they can even withstand this attack, if Brazil can even stop the Hunter at this point.
2 turns off anyway.
Because how does it deal with just a big stealthy minion? They're going to get plenty of chances at it, and they are going to go with this play, get rid of the Ziliax, and just chunk a load more damage in there.
Like, there's a lot once again, as I said, 4 damage off lethal now.
The one thing that is a bit tricky here with Rexar, which is why they will leave it as long as possible, is obviously they want to keep their current hero power. It's doing so much damage over the next few turns.
Wow, Nevers is desperate if he goes for this Omega Assembly.
Yeah, they are desperate. They're on 4.
None of these cards do anything this turn.
Galvanize reduced the cost of mechs in their hand by 1.
Yes. And?
No, nothing else.
Okay.
Steambot will actually lose to Rexar. Because the 2 damage from the Rexar plus the 7 on the board leaves 4 left over, nice and tidy. It's going to be 1 game all.
There you go. Gustanage manages to run away with that one.
Who needs secrets?
Who needs secrets? As we can see, Secret Keeper's still sitting there in the hand after being mulliganed away, redrawn. But hey, Diamol into Razor Maw, into Bear Shock, into Scavenging Hyena is all Gustanage needed to win that game. The score is 1-1 between Brazil and Switzerland. And we did say Switzerland were looking favoured throughout the series. And there we go. There's a little tick in the box for them. Or check, if you're American.
Are you American?
No.
It's a tick.
Thank you. Still to come, though, we have the rest of Brazil versus Switzerland coming up. Next up is going to be... You all right?
No.
a little chuckle at my expense there, with Twitch chat there. I'm watching you. Coming up is going to be Shaman. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games. This is what all I wanted to say was coming up. We have Shadowhawk Shaman versus Zoo, but this gentleman to my left just interrupting me, making life very difficult, and has led to all sorts of hilarity over the last few minutes. But we are back and we are ready to cast some Hearthstone.
You might be ready.
You have an ear sticking out there.
I know.
Shadowhawk Shaman versus Zoo coming up. And we've had this matchup a few times today. We believe the Zoo is favoured, but in the last series we saw it go the other way.
Excuse me. Just going to casually have a moment to myself here.
Perna
If you could just cast for a minute, Dan.
I will. I'm on it. Perna versus Hypno coming up, though. And as I was saying a moment ago, in the last series, we had Shadowhawk Shaman versus Zoo, and then we had Zoo versus Shadowhawk Shaman.
Right.
The Zoo won one matchup, and the Shadowhawk Shaman won the other, as Bulgaria were able to 3-0 the current champions, Czech Republic. But we still believe the Zoo to be favourite here.
Yeah, Switzerland in a good position with the lineups going forward. So if they can just get it done with the Zoo here, they will be in a great position to stop Brazil from getting that 6-0 they need.
Yeah, Switzerland's been in a great...
Help us, somebody, please.
Can we just get this game started, please, production? We are starting the game right now. Let's jump in.
I've cast Hearthstone for 3 years and this has never happened before. I'm so sorry, everybody.
What, you've never had an ear of your headset fall off immediately before going live? Okay. That is a new one. It has to be said. So, Zoo have the blowout hand that they need here. They've got Flame Imp, Voodoo Doctor, Coin, and Happy Ghoul. This is looking like the turn one of all turn ones.
But they do need to play around that AoE that could happen as I just try and regain composure urgently. Because if you do get blown out with that turn one and you get a lightning storm in the face, then suddenly you just have very little ways of getting back on the board.
Yeah, that is true. Volcanoes, lightning storms, healing rains. With Electra, those cards are also powerful. Not necessarily sure if this is the hand Perna wants to open with, though. Glacial Shard. Cards like that, lightning storm itself, seem vital. But as we expected, Switzerland kept the 3 key cards there. The Voodoo Doctor, the Happy Ghoul, and the Flame Imp. They should be running away with this one, depending on what Brazil's hand looks like after the mulligan.
I now have a functioning headset and I'm back. I'm better than ever. As
There we go. There's the hand. Okay.
we are good to go, finally. Again, apologies for that.
Normality has restored itself.
I mean, normality is something that doesn't really happen around these parts anyway, but relative to normal, that was even particularly more silly than usual. And it looks like Switzerland are just going to go for the turbo start and force Brazil, who did draw all that good AoE,
They did.
into a situation to make sure they did get that stuff.
But Lightning Storm not playable on turn 2. So a lot of damage is going to be going in first. Perna probably has to consider Lightning Bolting this Happy Ghoul, but the problem with that is that it delays the Lightning Storm by a further turn.
And the problem with that is that delays the Volcano by a further turn as well.
Yep.
And so I don't think it's a realistic option. The best they can do, I think, is try and roll the Wrath of Air totem. The 1/1's actually a big deal too, and Taunt will slow it down. So this isn't bad unless they get the healing totem.
Yeah, well, the Taunt Totem's going to do its job. It's going to at least prevent 2 damage here.
And Switzerland do have no follow-up at all, we can see. Now, Brazil don't know that, but Switzerland's next turn, unless they draw Keleseth off the top or something, is just tap.
I would argue that tapping on turn 2 is fine, though, after this incredible turn 1.
It's really
because
good.
Then the Lightning Storm happens, and then Sarah Knights hit the board. Or a 3-drop or whatever.
But the thing we saw earlier, the difference between Bulgaria and the Czech Republic was the Czech Republic had a similar start to this. They spewed their minions all over the board, quite rightly, but the minions can be dealt with so easily. This is a little bit tricky for Brazil because if they lose the roll on the Happy Ghoul, they could just get blown out. But I think they go for it now anyway because they have the backup of Volcano in 2 turns' time. And they should be alive and kicking in 2 turns' time.
Yeah, I mean, the double Volcano in that hand does make all of the difference, doesn't it? As long as Brazil have some follow-up for later on, a second Life Drinker, Saranite Chaingang's Grumble, and, well, preferably Shuttlewalk himself, they might be able to survive this Zoo onslaught.
Yeah, it's a little bit tougher than the one we saw earlier. But Hypno is going to need something good to do next time. It is going to possibly come down to what they can do about the Happy Ghoul here. I mean, they don't have to, but if they want to just Lightning Bolt the Ghoul and take their time and Lightning Storm next turn, their Volcanoes become extremely delayed. And that might not be where they want to be, but they've thought it through. And they've changed their mind about twice. And I prefer this. I prefer this to the Lightning Bolt. This, at least, is a delay tactic I can get behind. Now you can Lightning Bolt and Lightning Storm in the same turn and just completely miss turn 5, but you'll have a clear board going into it.
A completely clear board by the looks of things, as what else can Switzerland do? They can just drop Voidwalker and Light Warden. Well, the Lightning Storm deals with everything except potentially the 3 health minions. And then, in theory, one of them will roll 3, and the other one will be dealt with by the Lightning Storm, the Lightning Bolt. So things should be okay for Perna as he just hangs in there for a little longer.
Lots and lots of reload available for Hypno. The big point being he can Fungal Mantle the Chain Gang in a lot of situations, and that will lead to very difficult Volcanoes unless this entire board is dealt with multiple times.
Almost out of time.
And just having that 1/3 body is going to absorb some damage. They can't let it loose to just take down the Voodoo Doctor.
In the light's name.
But it looks like, okay, you can have a card is an option on the plate here. If plates have options.
Well, here we go. Lightning Storm number 1 coming right up, followed by a Lightning Bolt if it's necessary. And only then, if the Happy Ghoul survives, is it necessary.
Yeah, this isn't pretty. They're taking 10 next turn. They can't afford to take any Volcano damage. So they can't afford to wait, take the damage to wait for Volcano. And so they are going to have to get this done. Assuming the Happy Ghoul dies, they're okay. If it doesn't, they've got some serious thinking to do about this Lightning Bolt.
Everything else did die, though, including the Voidwalker, which means... personally, I quite like it.
Yeah, he's just picked up the Keleseth, and I think that's showing his teammates or talking through. Okay, next turn, we still have 2 mana. Keleseth's not a bad turn.
Yep.
We'll be okay. But as you can see, they might be okay, but they're not going to be very okay. They're going to get 8 points of Chain Gang straight to the face next turn.
They're going to be moderately okay, but not very okay, as you said. Keleseth is okay, you know, it's a 2/2, it hits the board, it sort of maybe does nothing, buffs the deck, I guess. But next turn, when the Volcanoes start being played, Perna should be able to just relax a little bit, take a breath.
Yeah, they've got through this opening by judging how much damage they've got available. I think Perna and Race are 2 of the people I'd really want on my team if I was trying to work out, you know, how much can we push our time here. 2 of the players who are really good at that long sight, that vision.
Playing Volcano this turn clears up everything on the board, and they still have 11 health. They're not under any threat of some crazy fast lethal coming out from Switzerland. Switzerland are running 1 copy of Doomguard, no copies of Leroy Jenkins, double Soulfire, so the hand burst damage is limited.
Happy Ghoul Soul Infusion must be tempting here to set up the doubling imp, but it's a little bit slow.
It is quite slow.
Also tempting to try and tap into healing, but I think that is a trap if you go that route.
So many.
Next turn, Brazil do have the Chain Gang to slow things down a touch. Again, this just doesn't get to Shudderwockisms. It's just not a thing you do. You just don't die until you gain health.
Best case scenario, if they tap into a Voodoo Doctor, they still can't go Voodoo Doctor, Happy Ghoul, Soul Infusion, doubling Imp. They're still 1 mana short to do all of those things. So tapping does seem awkward. Maybe just playing both 3-drops is reasonable here. It looks terrible, but with this hand composition, I don't know how much choice they have.
You can just throw a Dreadlord onto the board.
That's the other, I think, best option that I can see. 1 Lightning Storm used up already, 1 Volcano used up already. These are all things that Switzerland are going to be thinking about.
They've got to think about them quickly because that rope is ticking away.
It's going to be the Dreadlord.
11 health. Demands an answer, and Hex is probably a pretty good answer right now. Chain Gang's also okay, but you don't need to advance your Shudderwock quest, particularly. In this matchup, you just want to not die. We've seen earlier, basically, you can run your opponent out of cards.
Right.
You can just not die until they've run out of stuff, which is incredible for a deck that's set up for combos. Well, Keleseth means that the pain will come quicker and faster from now on. Very relevant, even at this late stage, to get this Keleseth if you do want to try and get this last piece of damage through. Means your own chain gangs become menaces, and this doubling imp is already a menace.
12 health on the board, though, is not enough to withstand a Volcano number 2. And I think Hypno, who's looking very, very orange this evening, is just going to turn a slightly darker shade of maybe red when he sees that Volcano.
It's going to be very difficult to tell, but that is going to be the second Volcano taken out of the hand, and that's with 18 cards still left in their deck. And I say that because obviously that is their resource limit. It's not a win, they'd rather it wasn't there, but it is a license to start making more and more difficult boards to deal with. Until that healing rain is found, Perna's not out of the woods. I mean, he's in a locker room, not the woods, but you know what I mean.
Is there any thinking in playing Hagatha instead?
I mean, he's looking at it, but it just doesn't work out, I don't think. I was looking at it for a moment there too.
They'd have also been considering Acolyte and then Volcano, because that still would have removed everything from the board and drawn them 3 cards, but what they've decided is that they want to have some pressure to preemptively, to be able to deal with whatever Hypno plays next turn.
Yeah, this into Chain Gang and Life Drinker next turn should get you to a nice Hagatha turn in the future. You do want to get Hagatha down quickly, not just for the 5 armor, but for the board clear and for the cards it generates. I said earlier, they are very good against Zoo in general. Shaman cards tend not to be very influential, but they do tend to be cheap and get rid of things.
You mentioned Fault Lightning and Sap, but even cards like Voltaic Burst, Avalanche, these other cards that never see any play, but still, they're just very good at dealing with these little Zoo minions.
Apart from Ice Fishing.
Yeah, it's not
which
so great.
Just seems to always turn up.
What can I tell you? I said it yesterday, I'll say it again today. Hagatha enjoys fishing. It's just a hobby. Everyone's allowed a hobby.
I wonder.
Okay.
She does foul the lake, though. That is literally one of the things she says when you play her. So I guess that does sort of ruin any fishing opportunities.
So maybe it makes the fishing easier, because all the fish just die and float to the top, and you just pick them out.
Don't let Paul hear you saying this.
What to do?
That's terrifying. He's looked where Paul was, and Paul's not there anymore. There's Paul. Okay. Thought maybe he'd been got.
It's been fouled.
Farsight, a nice luxury if they can get it down this turn behind this Chain Gang. But they're going to make sure there's the maximum attack and health of their own stuff on board if they can. Draw the cards with the Acolyte instead.
Perna has managed to get this start that Shudderwock Shaman needs against Zoo, and Switzerland are just seeming to be in a worse and worse position as time goes on. There's the one Doom Guard in the deck.
They've still got Soulfire out, so they've got the Life Drinkers. There's stuff they can do. Not a lot, but a bit.
They haven't drawn a Soulfire yet, have they?
No.
If it's the next draw, that's not going to be pretty.
Until the healing is found from Hagatha, this isn't over.
True.
But it's very close to over. I mean, you'd fancy Brazil's chances from here very strongly.
They need to play around the Hagatha. They need to trade into the second Saturnight Chain Gang. Oops.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But maybe they think they can't beat Hagatha anyway.
Storm Chaser picked up by Perna, who has played both Volcanoes already, so Storm Chaser not going to do all that much.
Being very meticulous here with this Hagatha.
I wonder.
I mean, it does blow up 2 of their own minions, but... oh well. It allows them on a clear board to start rebuilding. I guess you're rebuilding from behind, and they don't want to be doing that. Yeah, I guess they don't need to.
Stormy, stormy.
Yeah, this now I've seen it in action. This is clearly better. They're definitely 2-turn or 3-turn lethal, 2-turn lethal after next turn themselves. 11's a reasonably safe health total, and they've still got a Hagatha, which is important.
Meanwhile, what does Switzerland have? They have a 3-mana 4/4 and a Doomguard. Both of which are being played, but not doing all that much. They're removing the Starlight Chain Gang. They're leaving 8 damage on the board. Scarily, it seems to be the Shadowwalk Shaman that has the initiative, that's playing the aggressive deck. And Hagatha, with a pretty much empty hand, is looking fantastic.
Yeah, this is the downside of how they played it, though. They're not going to be able to get many cards with the Hagatha into the minions.
I don't think that matters too much.
I agree.
Acolyte draws a card this turn. Farsight is there to draw another card at some point. Mind Control Tech has been picked up.
There's the Healing Rain.
And yeah, there is the Healing Rain. And that is going to be a lot of healing. And it should be Brazil's second win. Potentially one step away from going 6-0 in the Hearthstone Global Games Swiss. The only team to have gone undefeated.
Yeah, they're the only team to have gone 5-0, but to cement that, obviously winning the last one is part of the job. Otherwise, you're down there with the likes of the United Kingdom and Bulgaria, these 5-1 teams. Those pesky 5-1 teams. How dare they do so badly? Of course, having fantastic tournaments, those guys.
Okay, timing isn't horrible on the Soulfire.
The problem is now, with the healing, I was going to say I'm struggling to take it seriously because of the healing rain, but I obviously struggled to take it seriously at the start of the segment as well. No, the healing rain makes it very difficult to think that Brazil are in much trouble. They do have problems here. This Solarium goes crazy next turn. I think you're going crazy with it this turn before Brazil get to build their hand back up. But 4 mana, I think you have to wait, much as you don't want to. So nothing too bad can happen because you have Healing Rain, but bad things can happen because you have nothing else going on at the moment. Got to decide whether you need to use your Mind Control Tech first.
Perplexing.
If you do, you might want to see what your Hagatha card is, but you might want to see your Farsight card. Ordering here, a bit tricky. I think this is right, because now you might not have to play your MC Tech if you pick up something really good.
That's pretty good.
I mean, that fills your handful of Hagatha cards at some point.
That's the thing. So it may. I was going to say Brazil may not even want to play it now, but they do. They want to put an 8/8 on the board because I guess why wouldn't they? And that's Crushing Hands.
That's so useful right now.
Up. That's just deal with a minion at a time of your choosing.
Yeah, when your opponents don't have many minions or even cards left in their deck, and you are out of sight on health. And this is Solarium or Bust.
That's one of the best cards available for Hypno. Actually, Hypno may not Solarium now. He might just tap and go Fungalmancer instead.
He may well do now.
As Fungalmancer does cost 5. Nope. Gonna go ahead. Draw the deck. Oh dear. There's some quite expensive cards there.
Fungalmancer into doubling him into Soulfire does quite a lot of stuff.
Yes. That's probably the way that they're going to go with this.
I mean, the thing it does primarily is walks into MC Tech, but that's what can they do? They don't know their opponent's hand is MC Tech Crushing Hands.
That's true. Brazil, I think, only run 1 copy of the Mind... No, they actually do run double Mind Control Tech, a little bit like the guys we saw earlier today.
Yeah, MC Tech coming back into fashion big time in recent times, and Giggling Event has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Because when you play Giggling Eventer, it's not that good on its own unless you're playing a really stonewall deck. You tend to need to stick something behind it, like an Arcane Tyrant or something, to make it really good and use the taunts as defenders. So if you play that 4th minion, MC Tech's there to basically secure your situation.
This is a lot of damage coming in.
It is a lot of damage.
19 damage on the board, but there's the second Lightning Storm alongside Mind Control Tech. Perna plays the MC Tech, sees which spell he gets from that.
Oh, Frost Shock
is great. Now he can safely Lightning Storm, freeze whatever survives.
Kill something with his Grumble.
Crushing Hands if he absolutely has to, if he rolls 2 on everything. This is looking fine for Perna now.
Yeah, this is twice now we've seen the Zoo give like a sting in the tail but not quite get it done. Hagatha is just so good. So many of these spells do damage to minions. That's exactly what you need against Zoo. And again, you can see how bad this hand would be against, say, Death Rattle Hunter, where you've got to not injure the egg, but you need to kill a 7/7. You've got the Crushing Hand, that's about it. The rest of it just doesn't achieve much. But against Zoo in particular, this is just absurdly strong. And now they can wipe everything out and hit 8 to the face just to make sure that the agony is going to be no longer delayed. And Switzerland, without Solarium left, will not be able to get the 14 requisite damage this turn.
It's just not gonna happen, is it? Fungal Enchanter doesn't get anywhere. A little fist pump from Perna, who knows that he's won this, as Brazil go 2-1 in this last series, where Brazil are just fighting to be the kings of the Hearthstone Global Games Swiss.
Come on, Hypno, you've been interviewed recently. You don't need the airtime.
He's just giving a "there wasn't anything I could do" shrug for us. As Perna looking very happy as he has a little chat with his teammates. Brazil have done some tremendous work in this tournament so far.
Yeah, I mean, going 5-0, and it's a good job they did because a lot of people talked them up beforehand. Not necessarily anyone picked them out of the casters, but we've talked for a long time about how LATAM are going well. Argentina had a bad tournament, so it was left to Brazil to carry the torch for Latin America, and they have done a very good job.
They have indeed. Next up, we have Odd Rogue from Perna versus Even Paladin with the Rabbin. Now, we've seen Switzerland playing this deck before. I gave it a little try on the ladder a few days after we saw it, and honestly, it did pretty good work for me. However, I would not expect Odd Rogue to be the matchup that it's been built for.
It's got some board clears. Well, this is a deck I haven't had time to look much at all in between giggling at the start of shows.
So typically, Even Paladin seems to be a bit of an anti-control deck nowadays because of the Valanir, Sour Knight, Chain Gang type of combos. It just spits out value for the rest of the game once that stuff's happened. As you said, it has the board clears, it has equalities, consecrations, pyromancers even. Right? And that's great against a deck like Zoo, but against a deck like Odd Rogue, where it sort of just sits there with its dagger and says, even if you clear my board,
sure,
I'm just going to keep hitting you with the dagger. I would think, having not experienced this matchup, I would think that the Rogue is the favourite here.
And I seem to remember Switzerland talking about the deck whenever they spoke about it, saying basically that they weren't expecting to beat aggro that often.
That's right. They had Even Paladin versus Odd Paladin in the previous series. They won with the Even Paladin, and they were saying they didn't expect to win that one.
So again, not a deck I have played much, but I have seen Switzerland playing it once or twice. And from looking like they're favoured for the series to having to get it done with this just to get to a decider.
Yeah, it has to be said, Brazil have really put in the work this series. They've managed to win, to our sort of estimation, 2 unfavourable matchups. Let's see if they can win this one, as it looks like the game is just about to get started. If Brazil don't win this one, then it's all going to come down to Odd Paladin versus Togwaggle Druid, which that's not going to be a long game either way.
Yeah, one way or the other, that won't be too long. Paladin has to get that done really quickly to have much chance.
They do indeed. Cards like Spreading Plague obviously can make all the difference there for the Druid. Spreading
Do it
Plague
quicker than that.
swipes. But yeah, that we're talking if the game gets to turn 6. Anyways, before that one, we have this one. Let's jump right in. Odd Rogue versus Even Paladin.
Well, that's a Henchgang Thug.
It is. And a Firefly.
So, nice looking start here for Brazil. On the other side, Argent Protector amuses me because it's a card that always looks good, especially if you've got a small collection. It's just a card that does a lot of stuff for its casting cost.
Back in the good old days, before any expansions had come out, I remember playing a lot of Arena and that card being considered premium. Because it was almost like give a big minion an extra life in many cases.
Yeah, and early on it can just trade and your thing doesn't die is a big deal. Especially in Even Paladin where you've always got a thing on the board.
Right.
So it's always going to have a target on turn, well, it's on the first real card turn.
And we are talking nowadays Even Paladin that cannot run Call to Arms.
Yeah. That was a good card.
Which makes Argent Protector a lot better.
Amazing how Call to Arms just vanished off the face of the earth. Obviously, if you play an Odd Paladin, you get 1-drops.
Enjoy your 1-drops, yeah, exactly.
But it's amazing how there isn't really a use for it anymore in non-odd, non-even. I mean, there must be. It will come back. Something will happen with that card, surely.
Some of the most interesting cards in this Even Paladin deck, though, one of which you're seeing on the left there is Chillblade Champion. There's a little bit of lifesteal charge going on there. They also run a copy of the new Paladin legendary minion, Crystal Smith Kangor, which is a 2-mana 1/2 Divine Shield minion with lifesteal that also says your healing effects are doubled. So against an aggressive deck like Odd Rogue, Kangor, if you can stick a Blessing of Kings on it or something, it can almost act as a little Reno Jackson.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't want that to happen. And so, with all that early stuff, again, it's a nod to the fact they are weak against the aggro decks, trying to get that little bit of health back if they can stabilise going into their big minions, their big cards on turn 6 onwards. And so the early game just packed full of efficient minions trying to not take too much damage, but this is going to be a real test for them here because something that this rogue deck does and Perna has drawn to go with it is just a lot of damage.
Let's take a look very quickly at Crystal Smith Kangor. I mentioned it a few moments ago and I really do feel as though it's going to be vital in this game if it gets drawn. Divine Shield Lifesteal, your healing is doubled.
Yeah, as a legendary, you can't build your deck around that card, but if you're building this deck anyway and want to just slot it in there, it seems like a very good deal. Just play it as an extra 2-drop. Obviously, you can't rely on it, but when it turns up, I can see already how good that would be.
Again, just stick a Blessing of Kings on it, and every time it attacks, you heal for 10. That's reasonable.
Just looking ahead here at Perna's curve, because they're already putting Switzerland under a lot of pressure. This equality, though.
Wow. Having to be played already by the Rabin to deal with the Diamol. That is
yeah.
That is awkward.
Well, you feel that you've done the job because you feel that your opponents surely haven't got many more 1-drops and that your 1-drop and Hydrologist next turn is going to put you in an okay spot to challenge this board for a while. They're going to be bitterly disappointed when they see what happens next. Which of my 4 1-drops should I play? Or do I dagger up because I've got a Thug? I think that might be too slow.
Yeah, I mean, Perna's hand is just looking phenomenal. Another thing I'll mention quickly about my brief experience playing this Even Paladin deck myself is that I found Hydrologist is a little bit better now than it used to be because Auto Defense Matrix, the new 1-mana secret, is pretty good in itself. When a minion is attacked, it gives it Divine Shield. So a little bit like...
very similar to Noble Sacrifice.
Yeah, it does sort of act in a very similar way to Noble Sacrifice, and also Argent Protector, obviously. If you can play it the same turn as you play a Lich King, for example, it can be very difficult to play around that.
Let's see if they manage to pick one up from here.
Well,
apparently not.
I'm sure we'll find out very soon.
Valanier was picked up this turn, obviously not useful yet, but in terms of value late in the game, this is the card really that helps to destroy those control decks.
Yes. Valanier, if it can hit a Crystal Smith Kangor, again, or Chillblade Champion, for example, can really help Switzerland survive in a game like this as well, as Repentance It's picked up by the Rabin. Interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm trying to fathom which secrets are worse than that. Because the Odd Rogue doesn't have any high health minions.
But they're going into the Thug turn.
Okay, yep.
So they're probably a little bit scared of Thug right now.
Good point. Well made. Then again, AAA Champion alone would deal with Hench Clan Thug next turn.
Sure.
And if Brazil do decide to go with, like Squire hero power here, then that's terrible for Switzerland. With the Squire shutting down the Secret and the hero power dealing with the Hydrologist.
Oh, this is so messy. You're right, it does feel awkward. Going to test for multiple secrets with this one to the face. Make the way clear for noble sacrifices and stuff.
I think Noble Sack is the only one hitting the face tests for, but if they hit the minion, it tests for Noble Sack and also Auto Defense Matrix.
Okay.
And if they kill the minion, it tests for Redemption too. But they now know it's not Noble Sack.
And that clears the way for them to kill off the minion with their dagger. And
if it's Redemption, boo-hoo, we deal with that too. It's not. It's not Auto Defense Matrix. That means it's probably ding, Repentance.
And the Rabin is just realised halfway through that turn, I think, there, what was going to occur. And he's just finding it. I mean, I would never, ever laugh this much on camera. That would be stupid.
But the Rabin, like the Lorinda, does what he wants to do. If he wants to laugh, he laughs. If he wants to laugh while losing, he'll laugh while losing.
I'm sure he's losing. He's definitely not in a great spot, but the fact he picked up Kangor, so we're going to get to see how good this card is now.
The problem with Kangor against Odd Rogue is Valspine Slayer.
Yeah.
Like, if the Rabin could get to turn 6 and then play that with the Blessing of Kings, then yeah, sure, maybe he starts to come back, but maybe instead he goes Kangor and Chillblade Champion on the same turn and heals for 6 while trading with the minion. It's all a bit awkward.
Everything's a bit awkward because they've got none of their removal, none of their good removal, no consecrations, which wouldn't be that great right now, but none of the stuff that makes this deck tick in the opening game. And we've already said it's not actually that happy early on anyway.
Starfreaker having to silence the minion that's already been hit by Repentance. Mind.
Yeah, that Argent Squire is just withstanding everything right now. Perna does need to play around Consecration, even if we can see that he doesn't. Quite a few buffs in the deck, or a reasonable number of buffs, so need to make sure the opposing minions don't get out of hand. So probably kill them off as well. But really, he's got license to do as much as he wants here. His hand is just so powerful.
Brazil just not fearing any face damage at the moment. It looks like he's just going to go ahead and put the weapon in, whilst obviously putting Hench Clan Thug on the board.
They've even seen one equality, so they're not overly scared of equality Consecration. Although they might suspect the second equality is there because the first one was used so frugally, liberally. Frugally is the opposite.
I think they've switched up their list a little bit in the last couple of weeks because I'm sure it used to run Wild Pyromancer.
That's why I just looked actually myself. And I think he actually said to us that they didn't feel they were going to win because they took the Pyromancers out.
Oh, that's right, they didn't, yep.
And because they won with it, they've left the Pyromancers out, I think. I
remember that now, it is the same list.
But the original list did have the Pyromancers and then he took them out for HGG.
Mana just being a tad awkward here. Again, Christmas with Kangor. Blessing of Might would have been awesome this turn, but it's not going to happen. In fact, he's even going to put it into the Hench Clan Thug.
Yeah, they're just setting up in case they can get their Consecration. They've got no equality, so they've got to, as everything stops when I count numbers.
It also sets up for the Valenier to deal with Hench Clan Thug, worst case scenario next turn anyway.
Although that just could be too far away.
Yeah.
Like second Thug, hero power, attack something, hit a lot of damage to face, Leroy in hand.
This is horrible. This is just disgusting. And the Rabin, yeah, he is aware just how disgusting this is.
He's found this intensely amusing ever since that repentance.
At least he's having a good time playing Hearthstone. That's what it's all about.
I mean, they're through, so this was a slightly less serious. There is money on the line, but it's not huge amounts of difference between the scores if you qualify anyway. They're going to get another chance for the top 16. And one thing we've seen about all of these teams, I would say, who have got to 5 wins or more, has been the fact they're not willing to lower their enjoyment levels just through wins or losses.
As the Raven gives us a wave goodbye and concedes, Perna has done it. Brazil have done it. 6-0 is their score as they finish up the HGG Swiss. And what an incredible accomplishment for that team.
Yeah, you saw Perna do the 6 there. I think that's 6.
That is 6.
Just showing what it meant to them to make sure they went unbeaten in this phase. They're going to be the #1 seeds when we get to the top 16 in 2 weeks' time, and that will give them, in theory, a slightly easier group.
Incredibly well-deserved as well. Let's take a look at the series that we just watched one more time. As you're going to see all of that green on the left. Yes, Nev's lost Odd Warrior versus Mid-Range Hunter. It's not an easy matchup, but Raze and Perna were able to win everything else, including a couple difficult matchups there. They had to win Even Warlock versus Odd Warrior and Shadowwalk Shaman versus Zoo, but they did it.
They did indeed, and again, 6-0. That's about, I could just see it as a 6-0 for the next 10 minutes because that is the absolute highlight of the first 6 weeks of this HGG. Brazil, a team that none of the casters have picked, have gone straight through the Swiss to the top. No messing around with tiebreakers for them.
See, France, that's how you do it. If none of the casters pick you as a prediction, you go ahead and you 6-0 the Swiss. You don't drop out.
And now I expect Brazil to give us a little bit of a comment about that. Now they've gone and done that.
I hope so.
I think we deserve it.
As we saw back game 1, Race praying, still losing the brawl, and yet, that Carnivorous Cube sort of sat there and did nothing and let Brazil win the game.
You really didn't like that Carnivorous Cube, did you?
I can see. No, I didn't. I didn't like it at all.
Do you think we'll see it again? Or do you think they'll ditch it now?
I don't know. We could probably see it tested with a little bit more. It's going to be really hard to convince people that it's better than Faceless Manipulator, though.
Yep. Only time will tell. Okay, so Rexar getting this one done after a perfect beast start. They mulliganed their way a secret-looking star into a minion-y start, and that allowed a turn 6 victory for game number 2 there for Switzerland in that mid-range, that braggy Hunter deck.
This was not a turn 6 victory, though. This was a slow burn as Perna managed to draw both Volcanoes in his opening hand, using them very sparingly. Got the second Lightning Storm later on as well. And the Hagatha spells sort of just did the job for him. Frost Shock here, a crushing hand there. That's all Brazil needed to win that game.
And we have seen in that Zoo versus Shadowwalk deck now, that's twice the Shadowwalk's won. You have to tread so carefully with the Shadowwalk, otherwise you do just lose it, even with those good starting hands. Right at the start of that game, Brazil didn't use a Lightning Storm early on, and they had a lot of trouble because of it.
And what we have here is Rabin, a man having a great time whilst losing. As you said, all is not lost for them. They still qualify into the top 16, and they're going to have to work hard to keep in the Hearthstone Global Games. But working hard is something that Race has been doing a lot of this year. Let's have a chat with him and talk about Team Brazil's success. Congratulations, Race. 6-0 in the Hearthstone Global Games Swiss. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, our first goal was to qualify to the top 16, but being 6-0 is pretty amazing. So we are really happy about it.
Are you aware just how much support you are getting from the fans in chat, both as individuals and as a team this year? It's like Latin America's gone crazy for Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I know there's a lot of people cheering for us. The Brazilian community, it's pretty good. A lot of people is cheering and supporting us. So it's pretty amazing that we are doing good, and this like 6-0 is nuts.
Well, 6-0 makes you, I think, officially the best team in the Hearthstone Global Games. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, I hope we can keep doing this until the BlizzCon. That's our goal, qualify to BlizzCon.
So I've been asking this question to a lot of the teams this week, and I'm going to ask you as well. Now you're 6-0 in the Swiss. You're going into top 16 next. Which team do you want to be knocking out of the tournament?
No, I never know how to answer this question. Like, I just hope we can keep winning. We don't fear anyone. There's no team in particular we wanted to kick out. We just won our spot at the top 8, and it's just it.
I'm going to take that as everyone. The answer to that question was everyone.
Very
Okay.
professional,
Yeah, okay,
Race.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you very much, Race.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank you, guys.
one more time.
Let's go, Brazil!
Huge achievement. You guys have earned it.
Yeah, I think I would dodge that question. I would never dodge that question. I would straight up muzzy it and pick a team.
Sometimes we get these beautiful answers, like we had with Norway, who just outright said, Sweden, it would be a free win.
But I think Race's attitude this year has been, I'm just going to beat who you put in front of me. And he's done a very good job of that, both individually and in this team. So why wouldn't he want to just carry that on?
We have one game left today here in the HGG studio, and you do not want to miss it. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back.